Primary ciliary dyskinesia. So let me give a small introduction first. See, the whole of nasal cavity and up to the lung, in every cell, on top of the cell, there are small hair-like structures called cilia. Cilia, what it does is, all the secretion from the sinus and nasal cavity, it transports from the site posteriorly towards the oropharynx, inside the mouth, behind the mouth, and it goes directly towards the stomach. That's how it normally works. So if you see a normal structure of a normal cilia, so the structure will be like this, and it will be like this. There's a single cilia. In one cell, you will have from 100 to up to 200 per cell. In one cell, you will have 100 to 200 cilia. So one cilia, the structure inside is going to be like this. In the center, you have a paired tubule surrounded by 9 outer pair tubules. That's what I have written here. Single inner pair and 9 outer pair. So this outer pair is again connected to each other, interlinked by Denin arms. And the whole inner pair is connected to the outer pair, is connected to the inner pair with the help of antral spokes. This is the normal structure of a cilia. In primary ciliary dyskinesia, congenitally, because of genetic cause, the structure is not going to be normal. What happens is, either the Denin arms are not proper or the antral spokes are not proper. So what happens? The cilia doesn't work normally. So what happens? All the secretions which has to be transported posterior and down to normal mechanism, it doesn't happen, and you have pent up secretions on all the sinus and nasal cavity. This is what happens. Now, in this condition, in primary ciliary dyskinesia, you have two syndromes. One is cartilaginous syndrome, another is Young syndrome. So in cartilaginous syndrome, the patient, the child presents with recurrent upper respiratory tract infection or recurrent rhinosinusitis, say more than 7, 8, 9, 10 times per year. So every other month he is sick. So that's what happens. Likewise, he gets the same chest complaint, he gets the same condition in the chest also. So if you see the structure of the lungs here, the outer part, how it looks like, the same it has to be in the lower part also. But what happens, the walls of the bronchus are all destroyed, it is dilated, and buildup of secretions lead to pus formations also. So you have recurrent chest infection too, just like rhinosinusitis. Along with that, if you see these type of patients, the heart, instead of being in the left in the normal position, it will be on the right side. That is usually seen in 50% of the patients. And by the way, cartilaginous syndrome is seen in younger age group, and Young syndrome is seen in between 20 and 30 years of age. So this dextrocardia, that means heart is on the right side, is seen only on 50% of the patients. In Young syndrome, just like in cartilaginous syndrome, you have chronic rhinosinusitis and bronchiectasis, and in addition, what happens is the sperm count is nil or very low. So they land up with infertility problems. Now, the common presentation, if it's cartilaginous syndrome, the mother will be complaining. In Young syndrome, the patient itself will complain, saying that there is nasal block always and too much of nasal secretions associated with facial discomfort and headache too, and change in voice because the nose is completely blocked, hearing loss and ear block repeatedly, and loss of smell too. These are the common complaints. And of course, in cartilaginous syndrome, there will be a problem of, in Young syndrome, the problem of infertility too. Now, coming to examination. So when we put in a camera in the nose, that is, when you do a nasal endoscopy, we see that lot of secretions. When you do a good suctioning, we may find some polyp also. And in case of infection, there will be nasal discharge. Now, we would like to do a battery of tests. So these tests are not done in every child who comes with 2 or 3 episodes. These tests are done only when we suspect or we think this can be a case of primary ciliary dyskinesia. So simple tests like saccharin test, the saccharin is nothing but a sweetener. If you keep it in the nasal cavity, you should get a good taste in the mouth after 20 to 30 minutes. But if suppose the cilia doesn't work normally, this period is much more prolonged, giving us an indirect proof that the cilia is not working properly. Now, to get a specific diagnosis, we like to do a electron microscopy. For that, what you do is from inside the nose, what you call the area called turbinate. So from there, we'll take a small swab or we'll take a biopsy and send it for examination under electron microscopy, where we can have a look of one single cilia, the structure, whether the Denin arms and the anal spokes are normal or not. So we can come to a diagnosis with that. Now, there is something called nitric oxide present in air, and especially we test that in exhaled air. So, and we have a specific measurement for that. In case the nitric oxide measurement is low, very low, then it's an indirect indication saying that the cilia is not working properly. And in addition to all this, we could like to do a photometric study also to know the ciliary beat frequency. So these are the tests which is done specifically for primary ciliary dyskinesia. Now, along with this, we like to do a CT scan and chest X-ray and nasal swab to know whether we have a fungal infection or bacterial infection. In that case, we can know which bacteria and we can give medication or antibiotic specific against that bacteria. So, coming to treatment, if it's mild infection, we'll start with syrup or antibiotic, oral antibiotic. If it's severe infection, the patient has to be admitted and we'll start with IV antibiotic. And along with IV antibiotic, we'll like to give you nasal wash and nasal spray. Both in adults and child, nasal wash is going to be three times daily. But children, usually they will not be able to do nasal wash properly. So instead of nasal wash, we have nasal spray itself two types. One is a steroid spray, another is a normal saline spray. So that also can help in children. So in adults, they'll be able to do nasal wash. They have to do 3 times daily. And in nasal spray, if it's steroid nasal spray, in children it is 1 puff once daily. In adults, it's 2 puff twice daily. And to know specifically how to use the nasal spray and nasal wash, and what is the technique of using it, how to avoid complications, what are the problems and all that related to these nasal wash and nasal spray, please watch my video in YouTube. That is, you have to type Dr. Zakir Hussain ENT nasal wash or nasal spray, and you can go through it. So that's how we manage. See, by this treatment, we are not managing primary ciliary dyskinesia. We are managing the complications or managing the symptomatic management. What the patient complains of, we are taking care of that. The primary ciliary dyskinesia as such cannot be managed, and we cannot make the child become normal. We are trying to make the life as smooth as possible, make a better life than what he is having now. That's what we are trying to. So, along with this, the child will have chest problem also. So, you need to see a pulmonologist, and pulmonologist maybe add up one more antibiotic and do a few more tests also, like pulmonary function test or sputum for culture celebrating AFB2, another test also. And they will advise you, other than the antibiotic, they will give you chest physiotherapy. They ask for chest physiotherapy and mucolytics and bronchodilators as per their finding, as per your complaints. This is how primary ciliary dyskinesia is managed. Thank you so much.